Ladies and gentlemen, Chelsea lose 2-0 away at St James's Park against Newcastle in the Premier League. Massive story. Nicholas Jackson playing what will be his last ever game as Chelsea's first choice striker, getting a red card. He will be banned for the final remaining games of this season, and he has yet again demonstrated the petulance and often frustrating performances that mean he simply cannot be Chelsea's first choice striker. And as we all know, Chelsea are in for a striker in the summer. Big talking points in this game, of course, a fiercely contested 6-pointer, a Champions League straight shootout. For me, it would have been massive if we could have won this game. It would have been really good if we could have drawn it. I think probably Newcastle before kickoff. If you ask some Newcastle fans, they would have said they're taking a draw as well. Chelsea, of course, coming into this game on a 5-game winning streak, and it was a midday kickoff, meaning the Geordies didn't have that much time to get drunk. And in fact, Chelsea in the second half, and we'll get to the tactical change, they did quieten down the stadium to the point where you heard the Chelsea away fans, which were in a tiny pocket over in the corner of the stadium, singing "No Noise" from the Saudi boys, of course, speaking about Newcastle United. And Chelsea were in it right until the end. Until Bruno Guimaraes capitalised off a Gusto deflection to see his shot converted into Newcastle's second goal. I'm going to get into all of it, guys. I'm going to speak about Jackson, the tactical shift, how actually Newcastle set out in a shape that probably Chelsea almost certainly weren't prepared for, and the ramifications of all of that, how Maresca changed it. Although Newcastle like to play without the ball, certainly not like that second half when they're a man up and they're at home. That was good play from Chelsea, but not enough in the end. So welcome back to Football Therapy. How you doing? Probably not good if you're a Chelsea fan. As always, thanks for joining me. Thank you for supporting the content. You can do so by liking and subscribing. Let's get into it. Alright, so before this game, Chelsea and Newcastle were equal on points and goal difference. Now Chelsea are in 5th place on level on points with 6th place Aston Villa, who of course played the same amount of games, but Chelsea can be pushed out of the top 5 should Forest win later, and I think that is probably going to happen. They're playing Leicester City at home. So Chelsea will need to win against Manchester United at home and definitely win against Nottingham Forest on the final day away at their gaff to qualify for the Champions League. Just a draw here would have been massive, man. Just a draw. But I am oddly proud of the team. It's really worth mentioning that we came into this in good form. We did come into good form, and Let's show you how this went down. So this is SofaScore. They played a 3-4-2-1, getting a lot of attacking players on. Of course, they've got the 3 attackers there, but they've also got Jacob Murphy's a really good attacker, Tino, seeing as though they could play those 3 really big centre-backs and a really dominating midfield in Guimaraes and Tonali. It's a very strong side, and it's obviously a 3-4-2-1, often a back 5. Maresca would have prepared all week meticulously for this. I know we had the second leg against Djurgården. I can't imagine he spent much time tactically analysing that. We were 4-1 up, and it's the level of opposition, and we were at home, okay? So he would have spent a lot of time analysing Newcastle's 4-3-3 formation, preparing for that, and an hour before, you see a formation change. And to be honest, in the first half, they were dominant before and after the dismissal of Nicholas Jackson, because it was a good setup, and to Maresca's credit, even with a man down, he changed it at half-time to counter Eddie Howe, and Eddie Howe didn't really have an answer for it. Maresca had to do it in-game, and Eddie Howe, of course, pre-game, knew exactly how we are going to play, because he's like, well, they've been playing well with these players in this form. They are going to do that again, and I heard a pretty mad stat before kickoff on TNT Sports, that this is the first time since 2018, so 7 years, since Chelsea have started a Premier League game with the same lineup for 3 games in a row. Think about that. Just 3 games. It's the first time in 7 years we've managed to do that. And it is a good lineup. It was working. We were playing well. Yes, Nicholas Jackson hadn't been playing well, and we will get to him. Don't you worry. So Eddie Howe knew how we're going to set up, and he basically had an ace up the sleeve that Maresca had to react to. We, of course, started with our classic, this is our full strength. Lavia getting a low rating there because he was caught in possession for the early goal. Caicedo inverts into midfield. It sort of creates a back three. Cucurella gets up. He got up a lot more in the second half with the formation change. Captain Enzo Fernandez on the day. You got Noni, Neto as the wide players. Cole in the free role. And, of course, Jackson up top. Let's look at the stats. As the first half, they're very, very dominant. Somehow we still generated 0.43 XG. Very dominant half from Newcastle. Like I said, they sort of had us figured out. And in the second half, when we only had 10 men, certainly feel obviously the XG wasn't really high enough, but the field tilt, the possession, we did create a big chance. We had like best part of 70% possession. Deep that, guys. Away from home at St. James's Park, 70%. And yeah, like I said, Newcastle, especially with a lead, will be inclined to sit without the ball. They'll be happy with that, yeah? But not against 10 men at home in such a high stakes game. When Chelsea are really pushing on, that shocked me, and of course I was very pleased to see Chelsea playing like that in the second half, really going for it, and to be honest, nearly getting it. So let's talk about what happened. So they scored in the second minute, and that's the really frustrating part of this, because it's Lavia getting caught in possession. Lavia's been playing well. He's a good player. He's a young player. He's a player that's been out injured a long time. He does a poor touch. He gets caught in possession, and it's ultimately capitalised on really well by Newcastle. Murphy playing it to Tonali, who finishes it well. So it is a good goal that was from taking opportunism from a Chelsea mistake, a Lavia mistake. It's kind of one of those things, I wish it didn't happen, obviously. And generally, Lavia is quite a press-resistant guy. That's what we see him as. A little bit like Kovacic, like he will play out of the press. He will pass offensively out of the press. This wasn't one of those moments. He was caught cold, literally in the second minute. They capitalised and scored. Bad, the fact how their goals were separated by 88 minutes. 88 minutes, and we had, a man down. And they score, and it's very frustrating. And then Nicholas Jackson gets sent off. I'm just going to come back to that in a second because it's obviously a huge talking point. Enzo gets a yellow. He's also Enzo Fernandez is fighting, unsurprisingly, with Bruno Guimaraes all game. Who knew Argentina versus Brazil would go on? I remember David Luiz and Sergio Aguero all the time. Whenever there's someone from Argentina and someone from Brazil, they fight. It's just what happens. It always happens. It will always happen. And of course, it's sod law that Guimaraes scores that, fortuitously deflected goal at the end. It's sod's law, isn't it? So we're a man down, and then at halftime we make a change. Noni Madueke for Reece James. As Reece James comes on, and he plays a multitude of different roles, James. I actually think he played really well considering the state of play and everything. And Noni didn't have the best half. Usually Madueke in these recent games has been really effective in his out of possession left wing, the way he drives in and dribble. There was simply not much room at all of this kind of Newcastle defence, and he wasn't getting much joy. So, yeah, we saw changes. We basically were trying to isolate the wide defenders with Pedro Neto on the break. And to be honest, that absolutely was the correct call. That was the weakness, that was the in, and that's what Maresca did. He changed it, and he changed it a couple of times again. We started the second half really, really well. There was a point where we had 78% possession really far into the second half, which, say what you want about, Newcastle's tactics, that is a lot. They saw a lot of yellows. Fabian Schär in the second half, Jacob Murphy in the second half, Bruno Guimaraes in the second half, Emil Kraft in the second half. They got a lot of yellows. And then, of course, we see Chalobah come off. So a defender, a centre-back come off for Jadon Sancho, an attacker. And Romeo Lavia, a functional sort of, midfielder for Gusto, who can be quite dynamic and fast. So Maresca really, really friggin' went for it. He really went for it. And we press. And, of course, by that sort of level of dysfunction with that change. I mean, to be honest, they didn't even. It was a great hit, but it comes off Gusto and Sanchez doesn't save it. I'm going to talk about Sanchez and Jackson. I'm not going to dig Sanchez out, right? Because he didn't do anything really costly in this game. But he tried. He did some really, really bad passes, turning over possession to the opposition, giving them the ball. Rob Sanchez. Really, to be honest, guys, like, I am so done with Rob Sanchez. I don't. He can make the odd amazing save. He's a really good guy. Again, I don't hate these people, but I reiterate, I know that he's not the story in this game, but for those moments, yeah, I know Nick Pope does it at the other end. You know, he can't pass either. But he makes big saves, and he's like, you know, he's not as mental as Sanchez, and he's better at housing and time wasting than Sanchez, Pope. You know, and he sort of suits that Newcastle team quite well. I wouldn't want Nick Pope for Chelsea. We need this footballing goalkeeper. You know. Other notable good performers, I'd say Palmer played quite well. He looked confident. It's just the sort of team around him wasn't there because we were missing a player, and obviously against a low block a lot of the time, despite being a man down. I think he played well. I think Neto played well. I think Enzo Fernandez played well. I think the defenders fought valiantly, and I mean all of them. Chalobah, Colwill, and Cucurella. Chalobah and Cole were making excellent tackles. Cucurella seeing loads of the ball, always available. So I think they defended well. I think Caicedo played really, really well. He seemed to have like extra juice, extra batteries, very combative. How this guy got away without getting a yellow card, I will never know. Caicedo, I'm just going to look at him now, yeah? I doesn't need to show you. He made loads of aerial duels, ground duels, clearances, 4 tackles, really, really strong. He made a key pass. I'm just trying to see if I can find if his fouls. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. He only made 4 fouls, but all of them were like bad. I mean, either way, I don't know how he got away with it, basically. By the way, on the other team, I thought Anthony Gordon was diving all over the gaff. There was a moment where he wanted to win a foul of Palmer, but it wasn't happening. So he almost stamped on Palmer, pretended to be fouled, grabbed the ball, and then won a free kick. And then Palmer was like, no, that's a handball. And ow, you know? So it was, I mean, fair enough. It's dark arts, doing everything you can to get in the Champions League. But the ref missed that big time. And of course, Nicholas Jackson. So let's do that. He was playing terribly. Yeah. He was clearly frustrated. I'm going to give this the tiniest bit of slack before we dig in, because the system wasn't working. We weren't prepared for the 3-4-2-1 of Newcastle, and he wasn't getting involved at all. Despite Chelsea's recent good form, most of it, especially most recently, he'd been playing quite badly. Yeah, he had been playing quite badly. So he won 0 out of his 3 ground duels. He lost possession 3 times. He only completed 3 passes. He was playing really badly. Okay. And then he gets sent off, of course, in the 35th minute. 35th minute. It was originally a yellow, and there were replays being showed on TNT Sports. And yeah, I mean, I some people were suggesting to me it was a soft red. I mean, look, it's done for serious foul play, and yeah, it is a red card. I mean, for all of you who think it's not, it is. So he didn't elbow him like that. He didn't do the swinging action like, I'm elbowing you in the face. Well, you're obviously going to get sent off for violent conduct, mate. But the fact remains is, he's frustrated, he's having a bad game. He has a look at him, he's looking at him and puts his elbow up to his faces. It's so idiotic, petulant, naive, and look, I've often had sympathy for Jackson. I fight his corner a lot. I think he is a very tactically intelligent player, and I think we've seen at times under Pochettino and Maresca, he can be very skillful with interplay, and he's always available, he's always running, and he can play for 90 minutes. He's incredibly athletic, and he'll always make runs, selfless runs. He's been very frustrating, of course, because his finishing's been poor, but you know, we've seen him out of the team and how Chelsea play a lot worse, but I don't know if we're going to feel that way now for the remaining 3 games because of how he's behaved on the pitch here. who comes in. Is it Mark Gue? Is it a Palmer false 9? Is it probably going to be a Tyreek George, isn't it? Or Pedro Neto, that's it. Pedro Neto is probably going to go out to false 9, and Noni will go out to right wing, and Tyreek George will play left wing. But back to Jackson, because of now he's got a 3-match ban. That's him done. Maybe you'll see him in the Europa Conference League final, but I don't think he's earned that. I think you give that to Gue, who scored a bunch of goals in the competition. I think you give that to Tyreek George. I think you give that to Shin Mweka. Personally, what has he done to earn that final? You know? I'm not going to be like, sell Jackson. I think he's the kind of player that would benefit greatly from another striker coming in and Chelsea being like, that guy's our number 1. Go and train. Go and get your head down. Go and get out of the limelight. You know, go and get out of the firing line. Get better at football. Calm the F down. Soften your ego. And see where your Chelsea career goes from here, because that is petulant nonsense. We're down, but we're not out. 2 wins. You know, beat Man United, hopefully. Jesus. And in such a way that we look comfortable, we look good. And then the final day, you just pray to the gods. Not only do you get a win against Forest, I don't know if, guys, it's so complicated now. I don't know if there's permutations where even with the 2, I think there is a certain scenario that even with the 2 wins, we miss out, maybe? I'm not entirely sure. I think it's very, very unlikely. I think if we win those 2 games, we're good. But I mean, the thing is, we didn't play badly, ultimately. When we reacted tactically, the players played well. They fought, and that bodes well. But, you know, we've put ourselves in this position. It's in God's hands now. Let me know your thoughts. Thank you for liking and subscribing and supporting the content. Very tough one to take, but we move. Peace.